The alarm bells rang loud across the council station. Every screen in the main chamber showed the same thing. 17 huge ships had just appeared in space. Nobody knew where they came from. Nobody knew how they got there. The ships were massive, each one bigger than a small moon. Ambassador Krelnoth hit the table hard with his arms. He was from a planet called Vexar, and his skin changed color when he got upset. Right now, his skin was turning bright red. His voice came through the translator machine, sounding angry and scared at the same time. "This cannot be real," he said. "The humans have only been in space for 200 years. They are still babies in the galaxy. They cannot build ships like this." High Counselor Zareth floated in the middle of the room. She was not solid like most beings. She was made of pure energy, held together by magnetic fields that glowed blue and white. When she was upset, the colors got brighter and moved faster. Right now she was glowing very bright. "Our sensors do not make mistakes," she said. "These ships are real, and they are using technology we have never seen before. The energy readings are completely different from anything in our database." In another part of space, Commander Jake Morrison stood on the bridge of his ship. The ship was called the Defiance, and it was the most important ship in the human fleet. Around him, screens showed where all 17 ships were positioned. Each ship was a miracle of human engineering. It had taken 50 years of secret work to build them. Jake was calm on the outside, but inside his heart was beating fast. This was the biggest moment in human history. Everything they had worked for came down to this day. "Commander, all ships are ready," said Lieutenant Sophie Grant. She was sitting at the tactical station, her fingers moving quickly over the controls. Sophie had been working on this mission for 3 years. She knew every detail of the fleet's capabilities. Jake nodded. His face showed no emotion, even though he knew how important this moment was. "Open a communication channel to the council station," he said. The big screen in front of him lit up. Now he could see all the alien leaders who ran the galaxy. They looked shocked. Some looked scared. The Vexarians had turned yellow, which meant they were afraid. The Ardelians were crystal beings who normally stayed very still, but now they were shaking. Even the Draconians, who were big and tough like dragons, looked worried. "Members of the council," Jake began. His voice was strong and clear. "I am Commander Jake Morrison of the United Human Systems. We come in peace, but we will not be ignored anymore. We will not be treated like children anymore." 3 months ago, humans had asked to join the council as full members. The council had said no. They said humans were too primitive. They said human technology was too basic. They said humans did not understand advanced science. The rejection had been broadcast all over the galaxy. Every alien civilization had seen it. Earth's diplomats came home feeling ashamed. Alien news shows made fun of humanity's request. But what the council did not know was that humans had been keeping a secret. For 50 years, humanity's best scientists had been working in hidden bases. They worked on the moon, far below the surface where nobody could see them. They worked on Mars in underground facilities. They worked in space stations hidden in asteroid fields. While the council thought humans were struggling with basic space travel, human scientists were solving problems that aliens thought were impossible. They worked in complete secrecy. They told no one. They showed no one. The breakthrough had come from a young scientist named Dr. Nathan Chen. Nathan worked in a secret lab under the moon's surface. He was studying something called dark matter. Most scientists in the galaxy thought dark matter could not be used. They thought it was impossible to control. But Nathan had an idea that nobody else had thought of. He discovered that dark matter could be controlled through something called quantum entanglement. When he first showed his theories to a few alien scientists, they laughed at him. They said his ideas were crazy. They said humans were too young to understand real science. Nathan proved them all wrong. His theory worked. And now, 17 ships powered by dark matter engines sat in space, ready to show the galaxy what humans could really do. These ships could cross the entire galaxy in just a few days. No other ship in the known universe could do that. "This is against the law," Ambassador Krelnoth shouted at the screen. His skin was now turning purple with anger. "No species is allowed to develop new weapons without telling the council first." Jake smiled, but it was not a friendly smile. "These are not weapons, Ambassador. These are exploration ships. We are just learning about the universe. Every intelligent species has the right to do that. Commander Morrison, High Counselor Zarath said. Her voice was trying to sound calm, but Jake could hear the worry in it. Your species has made a very sudden jump in technology. This concerns us greatly. We must ask you to tell us everything about how you did this. We must also send inspectors to examine your ships immediately. With all respect, High Counselor, we refuse, Jake said. His voice stayed polite but firm. The Council had a chance to work with humanity as equals. You chose to treat us like we were nothing. You chose to laugh at us. We have learned from that experience. On another screen, Captain Lisa Ward appeared. She was the commander of another ship called the Endeavor. Commander Morrison, our long-range sensors are picking up movement. The Council is sending their military fleet toward us. Jake had known this would happen. The Council ruled the galaxy through military power. They would not accept anyone challenging them. Tell all ships to get ready to move fast, but do not fire any weapons unless they fire at us first. In less than 5 minutes, 300 Council warships appeared out of hyperspace. They formed a huge wall of ships around the human fleet. These were powerful ships, built by civilizations that had been traveling through space for thousands of years. Their weapons could destroy entire planets. Their shields could protect them from almost anything, but they were slow. They used old technology that followed the normal rules of physics. They had limits that could not be broken. "This is Fleet Admiral Torgax of the Council Defense Force," a deep voice announced. It sounded like rocks grinding together. "Human ships, you must turn off your engines right now. Prepare to let our soldiers board your ships. If you refuse, we will destroy you." Jake looked around at his crew. Lieutenant Grant looked back at him and nodded. She was ready. Engineer Pete Sanders gave him a thumbs up from his station. He was ready too. Everyone was ready. "Fleet Admiral," Jake said in a calm voice, "I strongly suggest you do not attack us. You do not understand what you are dealing with." "I understand perfectly, human. You have 17 ships. I have 300 ships. The math is very simple." Jake turned to Sophie. "Lieutenant Grant, show them what our dark matter engines can do." Sophie's fingers moved across her controls. "Yes, sir. Starting demonstration now." The 17 human ships simply disappeared. 1 second they were surrounded by the Council fleet. The next second they were scattered across millions of kilometers of space. They reappeared in positions that should have been impossible. Some ships appeared directly behind Council vessels. Others appeared above and below the enemy formation. Others appeared on the far sides of the Council fleet. The whole movement took less than 3 seconds. Chaos broke out in the Council fleet. Ships broke their formations. Captains were screaming orders at each other. Weapons tried to lock onto targets, but the targets kept disappearing before they could fire. Some ships almost crashed into each other trying to turn around. "How did you do that?" Fleet Admiral Torgax's voice had changed. He did not sound confident anymore. "That is impossible. No ship can move that fast without creating gravity waves. We would have detected them." "Dark matter does not work the same way as normal matter, Admiral," Jake explained. "We are not moving through space the way you think. We are moving with space itself. There is no acceleration. There is no pushing or pulling. There are no limits from normal physics." High Counselor Zarath appeared on the main screen again. Her energy field was flickering. She might have been feeling awe or terror. Maybe both. "Commander Morrison, what do you want from us?" "We want the same thing we have always wanted, High Counselor. We want respect. We want to be recognized as equals. We want a seat at the table, not to be treated like children who should be quiet while the adults talk." Jake leaned forward in his chair. "The galaxy is changing. You can accept that change and work with us, or you can hold on to your old ideas about who deserves power and who does not." Ambassador Krelnoth had calmed down a little, but his skin still showed he was upset. "And if we say no, will you use these weapons against us?" "I already told you these are not weapons," Jake said again, "but they could become weapons if we wanted. Imagine what a ship that can appear anywhere at any time could do. Imagine if we decided to stop being nice." He paused to let them think about that. "But we do not want that. We never wanted that. All we ever wanted was a fair chance to prove ourselves." "You have certainly proven yourselves today," the High Counselor said quietly. "We have scientists ready to share what we learned," Jake continued. We have engineers who want to work with your best people. We have diplomats prepared to negotiate fair agreements, but we will not bow down. We will not beg. Those days are over." The council chamber went silent. Jake could see the alien representatives talking among themselves. Some used sounds. Some used lights. Some used electromagnetic signals that human eyes could not see, but all of them were clearly arguing about what to do. Minutes passed, then more minutes. Jake waited patiently. He knew they needed time to accept this new reality. Finally, High Counselor Zareth spoke again. "The council needs time to discuss this situation. We ask that your fleet stays where it is and does not perform any more demonstrations." "We agree," Jake said. "We will wait for your decision. But do not take too long, High Counselor. The universe is very big and we have a lot of exploring we want to do." The communication ended. Captain Ward's face appeared on the side screen again. "That went better than I expected. Do you think they will really negotiate with us?" Jake leaned back in his chair. He allowed himself to relax just a little bit. "They will negotiate. They have to. We just showed them that the rules have changed completely. Now they need to decide if they want to adapt to the new rules or become irrelevant." Lieutenant Grant turned from her station with a big smile on her face. "All the other ships are checking in, Commander. Every system is working perfectly. We are ready for whatever happens next." "Good," Jake said. He looked out at the stars through the main view screen. He looked at the huge amount of space that humanity was finally claiming. "Because this is just the beginning of our journey." Behind him, the bridge crew began preparing reports and running diagnostics on all systems. Everyone knew that the waiting would be hard. The council might take days to make their decision. But for now, they had accomplished their goal. They had shown the galaxy that humanity was not to be underestimated. Jake thought back to the day when he first learned about the Dark Matter project. He had been a young officer then, fresh from the academy. A general had pulled him aside and told him about the secret program. At first, Jake had not believed it. It sounded like science fiction. But then he saw the research. He met Dr. Nathan Chen and heard the theories explained. He understood that humanity had found something truly revolutionary. From that day forward, Jake had dedicated his life to this moment. He remembered the first test flight of a dark matter prototype. It had been a small ship, barely bigger than a shuttle. But when they activated the dark matter drive, the ship had vanished and reappeared halfway across the solar system in less than a second. Everyone in the control room had cheered. That had been 20 years ago. Since then, humanity had built bigger and better ships. They had refined the technology. They had trained crews. They had prepared for this exact moment. "Commander," Pete Sanders called out from the engineering station. "The dark matter cores are running at optimal efficiency. We could maintain this position for months if needed." "Good work, Pete," Jake replied. Pete was one of the best engineers in the fleet. He had helped design many of the systems that made the dark matter drives possible. "Keep monitoring everything. I want to know immediately if anything changes." "Yes, sir," Pete said. Jake stood up and walked over to the main view screen. From here, he could see some of the Council's warships in the distance. They were keeping their distance now, probably waiting for orders from their leaders. The ships looked impressive with their sleek designs and powerful weapons, but Jake knew the truth. Those ships were already outdated. They were built with technology from civilizations that had stopped innovating. They had become comfortable with their power and stopped pushing the boundaries of what was possible. Humanity had not had that luxury. Humans had been forced to innovate or be left behind. They had been forced to work harder and think differently because they did not have thousands of years of established technology to rely on. In many ways, being underestimated had been humanity's greatest advantage. The Council had ignored Earth scientists. They had dismissed human theories as primitive. They had never bothered to check what humans were actually capable of. That mistake had cost them their monopoly on power. "Commander, incoming message from Earth," Lieutenant Grant announced. "It is marked as Priority 1. "Put it on my private screen," Jake said. A smaller screen lit up in front of him. The face of President Karen Woods appeared. She looked tired but excited. "Commander Morrison, the whole world is watching. You did it. You actually did it." "We all did it, Madam President," Jake replied. "This was 50 years of work by thousands of people. Still, you are the one standing on that bridge right now. You are the face of humanity to the rest of the galaxy." President Wood smiled. "How does it feel?" Jake thought about the question. "Terrifying and exhilarating at the same time. We have changed everything today. There is no going back now." "No, there is not," the president agreed. "The council is sending diplomatic messages to Earth. They want to open negotiations. They are being very polite suddenly." "Fear makes people polite," Jake said. "But we need to turn that fear into respect. We need to show them that we are not a threat, just equals who demand to be treated as such." "Agreed. I am sending Ambassador Laura Bennett to join you. She will handle the diplomatic side while you manage the military side. Work together on this." "Understood, Madam President." The communication ended. Jake returned to his chair and sat down. Around him the bridge hummed with quiet activity. His crew was professional and efficient. They knew their jobs and did them well. He was proud of them. He was proud of everyone who had worked on this project. They had accomplished something truly remarkable. Hours passed. The council fleet maintained its distance. The human ships held their positions. It was a strange standoff, neither side wanting to make the first move. Jake used the time to review contingency plans. What would they do if the council attacked? What would they do if the council refused to negotiate? What would they do if other civilizations got involved? He had plans for everything. The human military had spent years preparing for every possible scenario. They had war-gamed countless situations. They had trained for the worst while hoping for the best. "Commander, we are receiving a transmission from the council station," Lieutenant Grant said. "They want to speak with you again." "Put them through," Jake ordered. High Counselor Zarath appeared on the screen. Her energy field had calmed down considerably. "Commander Morrison, the council has been discussing your appearance. We have many questions." "I am listening, High Counselor." "First, we need to understand the full capabilities of your ships, not to steal your technology but to assess the strategic situation accurately." Jake nodded. "That is reasonable. Our ships can travel anywhere in the galaxy within days. We can appear and disappear without warning. Our shields are based on dark matter manipulation as well, making them extremely effective against conventional weapons. We have not tested them in actual combat, but our simulations suggest they are nearly impenetrable." "And your weapons?" Zarath asked carefully. "We have weapons, yes," Jake admitted, "but they are purely defensive. We designed these ships for exploration and defense, not conquest." "How can we trust that?" Ambassador Krelnoth interrupted. He appeared on the screen next to Zarath. "How can we trust you?" Jake countered. "You have weapons that can destroy planets. You have fleets that patrol the entire galaxy. Yet you expect smaller civilizations to trust you. We are asking for the same trust in return." The ambassador did not have a good answer to that. "The point is," Jake continued, "we do not want war, we want partnership. We want to share what we have learned and learn from you in return, but we will not give up our sovereignty. We will not give up our right to defend ourselves." "You speak of partnership," Zarath said. "But you appeared in our space unannounced with a fleet of warships. That does not seem like the action of someone seeking partnership." "We tried the diplomatic approach," Jake reminded her. "We sent our best diplomats. We followed all your protocols. We asked politely for recognition, and you rejected us publicly and humiliatingly. You left us no choice but to prove ourselves this way." "Perhaps we were too hasty in that decision," the High Counselor admitted. "But you must understand our position. We have maintained order in the galaxy for thousands of years. We cannot simply accept every new species that asks to join." "We are not just any species," Jake said firmly. "We have proven that, and we are not asking to join anymore. We are informing you that we are taking our place in the galaxy whether you approve or not. The only question is whether we do it as allies or as strangers." The council representatives conferred among themselves again. Jake waited patiently. He had made his position clear. Now it was up to them to decide how they wanted to proceed. "Very well," Zarath said finally. "The council agrees to formal negotiations. We will meet at a neutral location to discuss the terms of human participation in galactic affairs." Jake allowed himself a small smile. "That is all we have ever asked for. Thank you, High Counselor. We look forward to the negotiations." The communication ended. The bridge erupted in quiet cheers. Sophie was grinning from ear to ear. Pete was pumping his fist in the air. Even the normally serious Captain Ward was smiling on the side screen. "We did it," Sophie said. "We actually did it." "We did," Jake agreed. "But this is just the first step. The negotiations will be difficult. There will be setbacks. Some council members will resist. But we have proven that we belong here. That is what matters." He stood up and addressed the entire bridge crew. "Everyone did outstanding work today. You should all be proud, but stay sharp. We are not done yet. Keep monitoring all systems. Stay ready to move at a moment's notice." "Yes, sir," the crew responded in unison. As Jake sat back down, he thought about what came next. The negotiations would be complex. There would be arguments about territory, about technology sharing, about military protocols. Some council members would try to limit human expansion. Others might try to steal human technology. But humanity had the advantage now. They had shown their strength. They had shown they could not be intimidated. Most importantly, they had shown that underestimating humans was a serious mistake. The galaxy would never look at humanity the same way again. And that was exactly what they had wanted to achieve. Jake looked out at the stars one more time. Somewhere out there, on countless worlds, alien beings were learning about what had happened today. They were learning that the young species from Earth was not so young anymore. They were learning that humanity had come of age. The journey had been long. The work had been hard. The sacrifices had been many. But it had all been worth it for this moment. Humanity had taken its place among the stars, and nothing would ever be the same again. 3 years had passed since humanity revealed their dark matter fleet to the galaxy. The Council of Stars had changed in ways that nobody could have predicted. What started as fear and panic had slowly transformed into something else, something better. Commander Jake Morrison now spent most of his time in diplomatic meetings rather than on the bridge of a ship. He sat in a large conference room on Council Station Alpha, surrounded by representatives from 40 different species. The room was designed to accommodate everyone, with different atmospheric zones and gravity fields separated by invisible barriers. Today's meeting was about the Galactic Core expedition. For centuries, the core had been considered too dangerous to explore. The dense concentration of stars, the powerful gravitational forces, and the strange radiation that leaked from the supermassive black hole at the center made it nearly impossible to navigate with traditional technology. But dark matter ships changed everything. A young Ardelian scientist named Crystal 7 stood at the front of the room. Her crystalline body refracted the light into rainbow patterns as she spoke. Her voice came through translators as a series of melodic tones. "We have completed the calculations," she said. "With the dark matter navigation systems, we can reach the core in approximately 6 weeks. The journey would have taken our fastest ships over 200 years with conventional drives." Jake listened carefully. Beside him sat his new second-in-command, Lieutenant Frank Cooper. Frank was younger than Jake by 10 years, but he had proven himself during the initial confrontation with the Council fleet. He had a sharp mind and kept calm under pressure. "What about the radiation levels?" Frank asked. "Our simulations showed some concerning spikes near the core boundary." Crystal 7 nodded, her form shimmering. "Yes, we have designed new shielding that combines human dark matter technology with draconian energy dispersion fields. Initial tests show it can handle radiation levels 10 times higher than anything we have encountered before." A draconian general named Vex spoke up from his section of the room. His scales were deep blue, almost black, and his eyes glowed with an inner fire. "My engineers have completed the shield modifications on 5 of your ships. We are ready to begin installation on the remaining vessels." This was the new galaxy. Different species working together, combining their strengths to achieve what none of them could do alone. Jake felt a quiet pride in what they had accomplished. Ambassador Laura Bennett entered the conference room, looking tired but satisfied. She had been negotiating trade agreements with the Vexarian Consortium all morning. The Vexarians had been the most resistant to accepting humanity as equals, but even they had come around. "Sorry I am late," Laura said, taking her seat. "The Vexarians have agreed to provide rare minerals for the core expedition in exchange for access to our quantum computing research." Jake smiled. "That is good news. We will need those minerals for the long-range sensor arrays." High Counselor Zareth materialized in her section of the room, the energy being pulsed with warm colors. The Council has voted unanimously to approve the expedition. Commander Morrison, you will lead a combined fleet of 20 ships. 10 human vessels and 10 from our allied species. 20 ships, Jake repeated. That is a significant commitment. This expedition represents the future of our alliance, Zareth said. We are venturing into the unknown together. It is appropriate that we send our best. The meeting continued for another 2 hours. They discussed supply chains, crew assignments, scientific objectives, and emergency protocols. Every detail had to be planned carefully. Galactic Core was uncharted territory, and they could not afford mistakes. When the meeting finally ended, Jake and Frank walked together through the corridors of Council Station Alpha. The station had grown enormously over the past 3 years. What was once a simple diplomatic outpost was now a thriving city in space, home to over 2 million beings from hundreds of different worlds. Do you ever miss the old days? Frank asked as they passed a group of young Ardelian students on their way to class. When it was just us against the galaxy, Jake considered the question. Sometimes. It was simpler then. Clear enemies, clear goals, but this is better. This is what we were fighting for all along. They arrived at the human sector of the station. The UHS Defiance was docked nearby, undergoing final preparations for the expedition. Jake could see crews working on the hull, installing the new shield generators and sensor arrays. Lieutenant Sophie Grant met them at the docking port. She had been promoted to Chief Operations Officer and was now responsible for coordinating all 20 ships in the expedition fleet. Commander, the final crew roster is ready for your approval, Sophie said, handing him a data pad. We have scientists from 12 different species. The Ardelians are sending their best physicists. The Draconians have assigned 3 of their top engineers, and even the Vexarians are contributing a team of geologists. Jake reviewed the list. Every name represented the best and brightest from across the galaxy. This is impressive work, Sophie. How are the preparations going overall? We are ahead of schedule, she replied. The Draconian shield installations are going faster than expected. Dr. Chen says the dark matter cores are running at peak efficiency. We should be ready to launch in 2 weeks instead of 4. Dr. Nathan Chen had become something of a celebrity in the galaxy. His institute on Helios Prime was now the premier research facility for advanced physics. Students from every corner of known space competed for the chance to study there. But Nathan had insisted on joining the core expedition personally. He wanted to see what secrets the heart of the galaxy held. Jake made his way to the research labs where Nathan was working. The physicist looked up from a complex holographic display showing swirling patterns of dark matter currents. Jake, perfect timing, Nathan said excitedly. You need to see this. We have been analyzing the dark matter flows near the core and there is something strange happening. Strange how? Jake asked, moving closer to examine the display. Nathan manipulated the image, zooming in on a particular region. The dark matter is forming patterns, not random distributions like we see everywhere else, but organized structures, almost like someone built them. Jake felt a chill run down his spine. Are you saying there might be something artificial at the core, some kind of construction? I am saying we do not know, Nathan admitted. But these patterns are too regular to be natural. Crystal 7 has run the numbers a dozen times. The probability of this occurring by chance is basically 0. Does the Council know about this? Jake asked. Not yet. I wanted to show you first. This changes the nature of the expedition. We might not just be exploring. We might be making first contact with something completely unknown. Jake studied the patterns on the display. They were beautiful in a strange way, like cosmic artwork painted with invisible matter. We should tell them. They deserve to know what we might be walking into. The next council meeting had a very different atmosphere. When Nathan presented his findings, the room fell silent. Even the usually talkative Vexarians had nothing to say. High Counselor Zareth pulsed with colors that suggested deep thought. In all our centuries of observation, we have never detected anything like this. The implications are staggering. Ambassador Krelnoth, who had mellowed considerably over the years, spoke carefully. If there is an intelligence at the core, one capable of manipulating dark matter on such a massive scale, We must approach with extreme caution. Or extreme curiosity, countered a young human scientist named Dr. Helen Park. She had joined the Council Advisory Board 6 months ago. This could be the discovery of the millennium, evidence of a civilization far more advanced than anything we have encountered. General Vex growled, a sound that translated as agreement. The doctor is right. Fear has kept us from the core for too long. If there is something there, we should meet it as friends, not hide like frightened children. The debate went on for hours. Some argued for caution, others for boldness. In the end, it was Ambassador Laura Bennett who found the middle ground. We proceed with the expedition as planned, she suggested, but we enhance our communication protocols and add more science teams. We go in peace, with open hands, ready to learn rather than conquer. The council voted to accept her proposal. The expedition would continue, but now with an additional objective that made everyone both excited and nervous. 2 weeks later, the fleet assembled at the designated departure point. 20 ships hung in formation against the backdrop of stars. 10 human vessels with their distinctive dark matter cores glowing faintly blue. 5 Ardelian ships that looked like floating crystals. 3 Draconian warships, sleek and powerful. 2 Vexarian cargo haulers modified for long-range exploration. Jake stood on the bridge of the Defiance, looking at the assembled fleet on his main display. Beside him, Frank Cooper ran final system checks. Sophie Grant coordinated with the other ships from her station. All ships report ready, Sophie announced. Dark matter cores are synchronized. Navigation computers are locked on the core coordinates. Jake opened a channel to the entire fleet. This is Commander Morrison to all ships. Today we make history, not as separate species competing for glory, but as one unified expedition seeking knowledge. Whatever we find at the core, we face it together. Safe journey to all of you. Responses came back in a dozen different languages, all expressing the same sentiment. Ready, excited, united. Engage dark matter drives, Jake ordered. The fleet vanished from normal space, riding the invisible currents of dark matter toward the heart of the galaxy. The journey was unlike anything they had experienced before. Inside the dark matter stream, time felt different. 6 weeks of travel passed like 6 days. The ships moved faster than light, faster than anything bound by normal physics, sliding through the universe like boats on a cosmic river. Dr. Chen spent most of the journey analyzing the dark matter patterns they passed through. The closer they got to the core, the more organized the patterns became. It was like reading a book written in a language nobody understood. Crystal 7 worked alongside him, her crystalline mind processing data at speeds that amazed even the human computers. The patterns are definitely artificial, she confirmed during one of their daily briefings, and they are getting stronger. Whatever created them is either very large or very powerful, possibly both. On the 38th day of the journey, something changed. The sensors detected a massive structure ahead, not made of normal matter but of dark matter itself. A construction so vast that it dwarfed entire star systems. Jake called an emergency meeting with all the ship captains. They appeared on screens throughout the bridge, representing the diversity of the fleet. "What are we looking at?" asked Captain Lisa Ward from the UHS Endeavour. Nathan pulled up a visualization on the shared display. It showed a sphere of organized dark matter surrounding the galactic core. The sphere was perfect, mathematically precise, and absolutely enormous. "It is a shell," Nathan explained. "A barrier made entirely of dark matter, encompassing the entire core region. Based on our scans, it is approximately 50,000 light-years in diameter." 50,000 light-years, General Vex repeated, his voice filled with awe. "That is larger than some galaxies. Who could build something like this?" "That is what we are here to find out," Jake said, "but we approach carefully. Sophie, slow us down to minimum speed. All ships maintain defensive formation." The fleet dropped out of the dark matter stream and approached the shell at conventional speeds. As they got closer, they could see that the surface was not smooth. It had patterned structures, what looked like geometric designs carved into the fabric of dark matter itself. "I'm detecting energy fluctuation," Sophie reported. "Something inside the shell is active, very active." Before Jake could respond, the shell began to change. A section directly in front of them started to shimmer and shift. The dark matter parted like a curtain, revealing an opening large enough for the entire fleet to pass through. "It knows we are here," Frank said quietly, "and it is inviting us in," Jake finished. He took a deep breath. This was the moment that would define the expedition. "All ships prepare to enter. Stay alert but keep weapons powered down. We are guests here." The fleet moved forward slowly, passing through the opening in the shell. On the other side, they found themselves in a space that defied explanation. The galactic core stretched before them, millions of stars packed so closely together that the sky blazed with light. But overlaying everything was a network of dark matter structures. Bridges, platforms, what looked like buildings or stations, all made from the invisible substance. "My sensors are going crazy," Sophie said. "I am reading energy signatures everywhere. Life signs too, but not like anything in our databases." A voice suddenly filled the bridge. It was not transmitted through radio or any conventional means. It seemed to come from everywhere and nowhere at once, speaking directly into their minds. "Welcome, travelers from the outer rim. We have been waiting for someone to find us." Jake forced himself to remain calm. "This is Commander Jake Morrison of the United Human Systems, representing the Council of Stars. We come in peace to explore and learn. Who are you?" The voice seemed amused. "We are what you might call the architects. We have lived here since before your species discovered fire, since before most of your species even existed. We built this shell to protect the core and to wait." "Wait for what?" Dr. Chen asked, unable to contain his curiosity. "For someone to master dark matter," the voice replied. "For a species to evolve beyond conventional physics and discover the deeper truths of the universe. You humans did it faster than we expected. Most impressive." Crystal 7 spoke up, her melodic voice carrying wonder. "You built all of this to test us, to see if we could find you." "Not just you," the architect said. "Any species capable of the breakthrough. Dark matter manipulation is the key that unlocks the next stage of existence. You have proven yourselves worthy of knowledge we have guarded for billions of years." A structure materialized in front of the fleet. It looked like a platform made of condensed starlight and dark matter woven together. On the platform stood figures, beings made entirely of energy patterns held together by dark matter matrices. They were beautiful and terrifying at the same time. "Come," the architect invited. "Land your ships and meet us properly. We have much to discuss and much to share." Jake looked at his crew. Frank nodded. Sophie gave him a thumbs up. Through the view screen, he could see the other captains signaling their agreement. "All ships proceed to landing," Jake ordered. "And someone get Ambassador Bennett on the line. She's going to want to hear about this." The fleet descended toward the platform. As they landed, Jake realized that everything humanity had accomplished, all the struggles and triumphs, had been leading to this moment. The dark matter fleet had not just changed the balance of power in the galaxy. It had opened a door to something far greater. The next few hours were a blur of introductions and revelations. The architects were ancient beyond imagination. They had evolved billions of years ago, ascending beyond physical form to become beings of pure energy and thought. They had watched countless civilizations rise and fall, waiting patiently for one to reach the level needed to communicate with them. "Why hide?" Ambassador Laura Bennett asked. She had arrived on one of the supply ships that followed the main fleet. "Why not reveal yourselves and share your knowledge freely?" The architect, who seemed to be their leader, a being that called itself Luminos, pulsed with patient light. "Because knowledge given too easily is not valued, and power granted without understanding is dangerous. Your species earned this meeting through ingenuity and determination. That makes you ready to receive what we can teach." Over the following days, the expedition members learned things that transformed their understanding of the universe. The architects showed them how dark matter was not just a building material or a means of travel. It was the fundamental framework of reality itself. Regular matter was just an echo, a shadow cast by deeper forces. Dr. Nathan Chen worked alongside architect scientists, if they could be called that. They showed him equations that made his breakthrough look like simple addition. They explained principles of physics that had no names in any language spoken in the outer galaxy. "This is incredible," Nathan said during one session. "If we can apply even a fraction of this knowledge, we could revolutionize everything. Energy production, faster travel, maybe even ways to extend lifespans." Luminos agreed. "All of this and more, but you must use it wisely. We have seen civilizations destroy themselves with advanced technology. The Council of Stars represents a good start at cooperation, but you must grow beyond even that." "What do you mean?" Jake asked. "The galaxy is vast," Luminos explained, "but it is still young. There are older galaxies out there with their own inhabitants and their own challenges. Eventually, your council will need to look beyond your own borders and engage with the wider universe. We can help prepare you for that, but only if you continue to work together." Crystal 7 asked the question everyone was thinking. "Will you join us? Come back to council space and share your presence with everyone?" "Not yet," Luminos said. "Our time for that may come, but for now, you need to grow on your own. We will remain here watching and waiting. When you are ready for the next step, we will be here to guide you." "But we are giving you a gift," another architect added. "Knowledge, yes, but also a challenge. Use what you learn here to improve your civilization. Spread cooperation and understanding. When your galaxy is truly united, not just in government but in spirit, return to us. Then we will teach you the final secrets." The expedition stayed at the core for 2 more weeks, learning as much as they could absorb. The architects were patient teachers, answering questions and demonstrating principles that would take decades to fully understand. They downloaded vast databases of information into the ship computers, enough knowledge to keep scientists busy for generations. When it was finally time to leave, the entire crew gathered on the platform for a final farewell. Luminos addressed them all, his voice resonating in their minds. "You have done well, travelers. Go back to your people and share what you have learned. Build a better galaxy. And remember, the universe is watching. Make us proud." The fleet lifted off from the platform and made their way back through the shell. As they passed through the opening, Jake looked back one last time at the incredible structures of the core. Somewhere in that blaze of light and dark matter, the architects were watching. The journey back to council space felt different. Everyone on the ships was changed by what they had experienced. They carried not just knowledge but responsibility. The architects had trusted them with secrets that could reshape civilization. Now they had to prove themselves worthy of that trust. When the fleet finally emerged at the edge of council space, they were met by hundreds of ships. The council had assembled a welcoming committee that included representatives from every member species. News of the expedition's success had spread throughout the galaxy, and everyone wanted to hear what they had found. High Counselor Zareth greeted them personally, her energy form glowing with joy. "Welcome home, explorers. The galaxy awaits your report," Jake smiled. "We have a lot to tell you, High Counselor, and even more work ahead of us." The following months were a whirlwind of activity. The knowledge from the architects was carefully analyzed and distributed. New research institutes were established to study the advanced physics. Engineering teams began designing the next generation of ships that would incorporate the new principles. But the most important change was not technological. The expedition had proven that different species could work together toward common goals. That cooperation was stronger than competition. That the future belonged to those who built bridges instead of walls. The Council of Stars began to transform from a loose alliance into something closer to a true federation. Trade barriers fell. Cultural exchange programs flourished. Young beings from dozens of species studied together at new universities built on the model of Nathan Chen's Institute. 5 years after the expedition, Jake stood in the observation deck of the newly completed Unity Station. It was the largest construction project the galaxy had ever undertaken, built by workers from every council species. The station would serve as the new capital of the growing Federation. Ambassador Laura Bennett joined him at the window. She was older now, with gray showing in her hair, but her eyes still sparkled with determination. "Do you think we are ready?" she asked. "Ready for what the architects promised? The next step?" Jake watched ships from 100 different worlds dock at the station. He saw humans working alongside Draconians, Ardelians teaching Vixarians, species that had once been rivals now acting as friends. "Not yet," he said honestly, "but we are getting there, And that is what matters. The architects did not ask for perfection. They asked for effort, for genuine attempts to be better. I think we are doing that. The humans started all of this, Laura said, when you showed up with that fleet and demanded respect. Do you ever wonder what would have happened if you had not been so bold? Jake smiled. Every day, but I think it would have happened eventually. Maybe not with us, maybe not the same way. But the galaxy was ready for change. We just gave it a push. A young human officer approached them. It was Lieutenant Grant's daughter, Maya, who had joined the fleet straight out of the academy. She saluted smartly. "Sir, the council is ready to begin the ceremony. They are waiting for you." Jake nodded. Today they were dedicating Unity Station and officially transforming the Council of Stars into the Galactic Federation. It was a historic moment, one that would be remembered for millennia. As he walked toward the ceremony hall, Jake thought about everything that had led to this point. The fear and panic when humanity revealed their dark matter fleet, the careful negotiations and building of trust, the expedition to the core and the meeting with the architects. All of it had been necessary steps on a long journey. The hall was packed with representatives from across the galaxy. At the center stood a monument, a sculpture made from materials contributed by every member species. It showed different beings reaching upward together, supporting each other as they climbed toward the stars. High Counselor Zareth, who would soon become the first president of the Galactic Federation, spoke to the assembled crowd. "Today, we mark the beginning of a new era. Not because we have achieved perfection, but because we have chosen to pursue it together. The humans taught us that advancement comes not from jealously guarding our knowledge, but from sharing it freely. That strength comes not from domination, but from cooperation." She gestured toward Jake and the other expedition members. These explorers ventured into the unknown and returned with gifts beyond measure. They showed us that the galaxy holds wonders we never imagined. And they reminded us that we are stronger together than we could ever be apart. The crowd erupted in applause, the sound mixing with the various expressions of joy from non-human species. Crystal chimes, harmonic vibrations, pulses of light all combined into a symphony of celebration. Dr. Nathan Chen stood beside Jake, watching the ceremony with tears in his eyes. "We did it," he whispered. "We actually did it." "No," Jake corrected gently. "We started it. The real work is just beginning." That night, after the ceremony ended and the crowds dispersed, Jake returned to the observation deck. He looked out at the stars, at the vast expanse of space that still held so many mysteries. Somewhere out there, beyond the edge of the galaxy, other civilizations were rising and falling. Other species were taking their first steps into space. And someday, perhaps, they too would make the journey to the galactic core. They too would meet the architects and receive the challenge to build something better. But for now, this was humanity's time. Not to conquer or control, but to lead by example. To show that a young species, dismissed and underestimated, could rise to meet any challenge. Could unite a galaxy and unlock secrets that had been hidden for billions of years. The dark matter fleet that had once inspired panic now served as ambassadors of peace. They traveled the galaxy, helping to build new stations, establishing trade routes, and carrying the message of cooperation to every corner of known space. And every night, somewhere in the depths of space, young beings of 100 different species looked up at the stars and dreamed of the day they might serve on one of those ships, when they too could venture into the unknown and discover what wonders awaited. Jake Morrison had gone from being a simple ship commander to one of the most important figures in galactic history, but he never forgot where he came from, never forgot the moment when humanity stood before the council and demanded to be treated as equals. That moment of courage, of refusing to accept limitations, had changed everything. It had opened doors that led to the architects, to new knowledge, to a better future for everyone. As Jake prepared to retire for the night, a message came through on his personal communicator. It was from Luminos, the architect leader, the first direct communication in 5 years. The message was simple but profound. "Well done, Commander Morrison. Your species has exceeded our expectations. The galaxy grows stronger under your guidance. When you are ready, when the Federation is truly unified in purpose and spirit, return to the core. We have much more to share." Jake smiled and sent back a simple reply. "We will be ready, and when we return, we will bring the best that every species has to offer. Thank you for believing in us." He looked out at the stars one more time before heading to his quarters. The future was bright, full of possibilities that previous generations could never have imagined. Humanity had taken its place among the stars not through force or deception, but through determination and a refusal to accept that anything was impossible. And that, Jake thought as he drifted off to sleep, was the most human thing of all: the end.